The morning sky over Seoul was clear blue when everything changed. Dr. Tae-woo Kim stared at his computer screen, not believing what he saw. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked again. The numbers were still there. "This can't be right," he said, to himself. He had been working at the Seoul Aerospace Defense Institute for 12 years, but he had never seen readings like these. He reached for his phone and called Captain Jisoo Park. If anyone could make sense of this, she could. "Captain Park? It's Dr. Kim. I need you in my lab right now." 20 minutes later, Captain Park walked through the door. She wore her military uniform perfectly, her black hair tied back tightly. "What's so important that I had to leave a meeting? With General O?" she asked. Tae-woo pointed at his screen. "Look at these energy readings from the asteroid we've been tracking." Jisoo leaned closer. Her eyes widened. "That's impossible. An asteroid shouldn't give off any energy at all." "Exactly," Tae-woo said. "And look at the pattern. It's too regular, too perfect." They looked at each other, both thinking the same thing but afraid to say it out loud. "We need to tell Director Lee," Jisoo finally said. Director Han Bin Lee was not happy about being pulled from his lunch with government officials. At 56, he had worked his way up through military research and politics to lead the institute. He did not like surprises. "This better be important," he said as he walked. Into the conference room, Tae-woo showed him the data. "The asteroid we thought was just passing by Earth's orbit, it's giving off energy pulses, regular ones." Director Lee frowned. "Natural explanation?" "None, sir," Jisoo said. "We've ruled out equipment malfunction. 3 different systems are picking up the same thing." Han Bin sat down heavily. "You're telling me this asteroid might be artificial?" "Yes," Tae-woo said. "And there's more. It's changed course twice. Small changes, but definitely controlled." The room went quiet. After 30 seconds of silence, Director Lee picked up the phone on the table. "Get me the president. Now." Within 6 hours, the world's top scientists and military leaders were connected in an emergency video meeting. Tae-woo and Jisoo sat next to Director Lee as faces appeared on the big screen in front of them. "The object will enter Earth orbit in approximately 48 hours, Tae-woo explained. "Based on its current path, it will position itself above the Pacific Ocean." "Military options?" asked the American general. "We don't recommend any aggressive action," Director Lee said. "If this is a first contact situation, we should proceed with caution." "And if it's not friendly?" asked the Chinese representative, Jisoo. Spoke up. "Our conventional weapons might not be effective against something with this level of technology. We need more information before making any moves." The meeting ended with a decision. Watch and wait, but prepare for anything. Project Thunderbolt was created with Dr. Kim as lead scientist and Captain Park as military liaison. The asteroid entered Earth orbit exactly when Tae-woo predicted. News channels around the world showed the same images. A dark rock about 100 meters across, floating silently above the ocean. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then, everything changed again. Tae-woo was monitoring the asteroid when Jisoo rushed into the lab. "It's doing something." On the screen, the asteroid's surface was changing. Parts of it moved and shifted. Lights appeared along its edges. "It's transforming," Tae-woo whispered. The asteroid's outer layer fell away, revealing a smooth silver ship underneath. It was beautiful in a strange way, with curves and lines that seemed to flow like water. Every phone in the lab rang at once. "We're receiving a signal," said the communications expert. "It's being broadcast on all frequencies." Director Lee nodded. "Put it through." The screens in the command center flickered. A face appeared. At least they thought it was a face. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and skin that looked like blue metal. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am Scout Commander Kryvax of the Arvian Empire. Your world has been chosen for inclusion in our resource network." Director Lee stepped forward. "We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "This is not contact. This is notification. Your planet has valuable minerals we require. You have 30 Earth days to prepare for the arrival of our main fleet. Your world will then be reorganized for optimal extraction. And the people of Earth? Director Lee asked, his voice steady despite his fear. Useful populations will be relocated to appropriate habitats. The rest will be processed for biological resources. The alien paused. This is a courtesy notice. Many species receive no warning at all. The transmission ended. 6 hours later, the Arvian scout ship released 5 smaller craft. They descended to different parts of Earth, landing in remote areas. Tae-woo was looking at satellite images of the landing sites when Jisoo came in. She looked like she hadn't slept. The military wants options, she said. What do you have? Tae-woo shook his head. Our most powerful weapons might not even scratch their ships. We need something new. Like what? I don't know yet, but one of their small craft landed in Mongolia. A team is being sent to observe it from a safe distance. Jisoo nodded. I'm going with them. Tae-woo wanted to argue but knew it would be useless. When Jisoo made up her mind, nothing could change it. 3 days later, Jisoo returned to Seoul with a sealed container. Her face was scratched, and her uniform was torn and dirty. What happened? Tae-woo asked when she walked into the lab. Cut. Arvians are mining already. They have machines that dig deep into the ground. We got close enough to collect some samples from around their site. She put the container on the table. 2 soldiers died getting this. It better be worth it. Tae-woo opened the container carefully. Inside was a small rock with blue crystals embedded in it. When the light hit it, the crystals seemed to glow from within. What is it? Jisoo asked. I don't know, Tae-woo said. He moved the rock to his analysis equipment. It's not on the periodic table. This is something new. For the next 2 days, Tae-woo barely left his lab. He ran test after test on the strange material. Jisoo brought him food and made him take short breaks, but he always went back to work quickly. On the morning of the 3rd day, Jisoo found him staring at his computer, just like when this all began. You found something, she said. It wasn't a question. This material, I'm calling it stellarite. It responds to electrical signals, but not just any signals. He looked up at her, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. It responds to neural patterns, human brain waves. What does that mean? When I hook it up to our brain scanning equipment and run recorded neural patterns through it, the stellarite changes. It releases energy in patterns that match the input. He ran his hand through his messy hair. Jisoo, I think it can be controlled by thought. Jisoo frowned. Show me. Tae-woo connected a small piece of stellarite to his equipment. These are my recorded brain patterns from yesterday. He pressed a button. Nothing happened. Maybe I was wrong, he said, disappointed. Jisoo reached out and touched the stellarite. Let me try something. As soon as her finger made contact, the blue crystal lit up like a star. Energy swirled around it in beautiful patterns. Tae-woo jumped back. How did you do that? Jisoo looked as surprised as he was. I don't know. I just thought about it, responding. The stellarite glowed brighter, pulsing in time with Jisoo's heartbeat. This changes everything, Tae-woo whispered. If stellarite responds to human thought, and the Arvians are mining it, then we might have a weapon, Jisoo finished. The stellarite flashed brilliantly as if agreeing with her. Outside, the sky was still blue. But the world had changed again. 3 black helicopters landed on Jeju Island as rain poured down. From the first helicopter stepped Dr. Tae-woo Kim, carrying a metal case handcuffed to his wrist. Captain Jisoo Park followed from the second helicopter, scanning the area with sharp eyes. The third helicopter carried equipment and 4 armed soldiers. Welcome to Mount Hala facility, said a man waiting under a large umbrella. I'm Dr. Sunwoo Choi. Follow me quickly, please. They hurried toward what looked like a simple farmhouse. Once inside, Dr. Choi pressed his hand against a hidden panel. The floor beneath them started to move downward. An elevator, Jisoo said, impressed. How deep does this go? 300 meters, Dr. Choi answered. The facility was built 20 years ago as a backup command center. Now it's your new home. The elevator stopped and opened to a large, bright hallway. People in lab. Coats and military uniforms rushed back and forth. 20 countries have joined Project Thunderbolt, Dr. Choi explained as they walked. The best scientists, the best equipment, everything you need. He led them into a laboratory 10 times bigger than Taewoo's old one in Seoul. Machines of all kinds lined the walls. In the center stood a clear chamber connected to computers. Your new playground, Dr. Kim, Sunwoo said with a small smile. I'm the AI specialist assigned to your team. I've read your reports about Stellarite. Fascinating. Taewoo unlocked the case from his wrist and carefully opened it. Inside, the piece of Stellarite glowed softly blue. A young man rushed over. Is that it? Can I see? He wore a lieutenant's uniform but looked too young for his rank. Lieutenant Dae-hyun Ko, Sunwoo introduced him. Systems engineer. Brilliant but talks too much. Sorry, Dae-hyun said, not looking sorry at all. I'm just excited. We're going to save the world, right? Jisoo placed the Stellarite in the clear chamber. That's the plan. For the next week, they worked day and night. Taewoo ran tests on the Stellarite while Sunwoo built a special computer to read and send brain patterns. Dae-hyun created systems to measure and control the energy the Stellarite produced. Jisoo practiced focusing her thoughts to make the Stellarite respond. On the 8th day, Director Lee arrived with bad news. Arvian scout ships are scanning the planet, he told them in the meeting room. They're taking samples from our oceans, our forests, our cities. They ignore all attempts to communicate. How much time do we have left? Jisoo asked. 3 weeks. Until their main fleet arrives, the director answered. Show me what you've got. They led him to the lab where the Stellarite now floated in a special container, glowing brighter than before. We've made progress, Taewoo explained. The Stellarite responds to human thought through quantum entanglement. When Jisoo focuses on the Stellarite, her brainwaves create patterns that the material copies. Show me, Director Lee said. Jisoo sat in a chair with sensors attached to her head. She closed her eyes. The Stellarite began to glow brighter. Slowly it changed shape, stretching and forming into a small ball of blue light. Impressive, Director Lee said. But how does this help us fight the Arvians? Taewoo looked uncomfortable. That's the problem. We can make it change shape, produce light, even generate heat. But we haven't figured out how to make a weapon yet. Director Lee frowned. Work faster. I'll be back in 1 week. After he left, the team felt the pressure, even more. They worked harder, slept less. On the 3rd night after the director's visit, Taewoo was alone in the lab, staring at his computer. The numbers didn't make sense. The Stellarite should be able to produce enough energy for a powerful weapon, but every time they tried, the energy scattered and became useless. Why won't you work? He asked the glowing blue crystal. Maybe you're asking the wrong question. Taewoo jumped. Lieutenant Ko stood in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. What do you mean? Taewoo asked, taking one of the cups. Dae-hyun walked to the Stellarite chamber. Everyone is trying to force the Stellarite to be a weapon, but what if that's not what it wants to be? It's a mineral. It doesn't want anything, doesn't it? Dae-hyun put his hand on the chamber. It responds to human thought. That means it's connected to us somehow. What if it's more alive than we think? Taewoo was about to dismiss the idea when he stopped. Wait, the patterns. Show me the energy patterns again. They looked at the computer together. Every time they tried to make a weapon, the energy formed beautiful but useless patterns. It's like... Dae-hyun started. Like music, Taewoo finished. Not random. Harmonies. They called the others immediately. So the Stellarite isn't making weapons because it's trying to make music instead? Jisoo asked, looking skeptical. Not exactly, Taewoo said, but it responds better to patterns that have harmony, balance. When we try to make weapons, we think about destruction, force. That creates chaotic energy. Sunwoo nodded slowly. So we need to think differently. Protection, not destruction, Dae-hyun suggested. Jisoo sat in the chair again, sensors on her head. Let me try something. This time, instead of thinking about weapons, she thought about a shield, a barrier to keep Earth safe. She pictured energy flowing out in perfect circles, like ripples in water. The stellarite began to glow brighter than ever before. It spun faster and faster until it was a perfect blue sphere. Then suddenly a pulse of energy shot out from it. The pulse hit the chamber wall and spread across it, covering the entire surface with a thin blue film. Tae-woo touched the chamber wall. "It's harder than steel now." They all stared in amazement. "That's it?" Sun-woo whispered. "Not a weapon that destroys, a shield that protects." The next 3 days were a blur of activity. They refined Jisoo's technique, tested different thoughts and emotions, and built a larger chamber to contain more stellarite. On the 4th day, they were ready to show Director Lee. "This better be good," he said as he entered the lab. Instead of answering, Tae-woo nodded to Jisoo. She sat in the control chair while Sun-woo activated his neural interface, a headset that amplified brain signals. "Focusing on protection," Jisoo said calmly. The stellarite in the chamber began to spin. A pulse of energy shot out and formed a dome around the entire testing area. "Dae-hyun," Tae-woo called. "Test it." The lieutenant fired his gun at the energy dome. The bullet hit the shield and stopped completely, then fell to the floor. Director Lee's eyes widened. "That's impressive. But a shield won't stop the Arvian fleet." "Watch," Tae-woo said. He nodded at Jisoo again. This time she changed her thoughts. Instead of a solid shield, she pictured the energy moving outward, like waves pushing away anything harmful. The blue dome pulsed and then shot out a beam of energy that cut through a metal target on the far side of the lab. "From defense to offense," Sun-woo explained. "The same energy, just directed differently." "And this is just with one small piece of stellarite," Dae-hyun added excitedly. "Imagine what we could do with more." Director Lee was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. "Get me the president, and contact NASA. It's time for Phase 2. After he left the room, the team looked at each other. "What's Phase 2? Jisoo asked. Tae-woo had a guess. "We're going to space." The stellarite glowed brighter, as if excited by the idea. Outside, an Arvian scout ship passed silently overhead, unaware that beneath the mountain humanity had just found its first real defense. The rocket launched at night, away from curious eyes. Dr. Tae-woo Kim watched from the control room as it climbed into the dark sky. Inside the rocket were Jisoo, Sun-woo, Dae-hyun, and 50 kilograms of stellarite carefully packed in special containers. "Godspeed," Tae-woo whispered as the rocket disappeared from view. 3 hours later, he boarded a second rocket. By morning, both rockets had reached their destination, a secret base on the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth and Arvian scanners. The moon base was larger than Tae-woo expected. Tunnels had been dug deep into the lunar surface, creating room for labs, living quarters, and a huge construction area. "Welcome to Luna Base," said a tall man waiting at the airlock. "I'm Chief Engineer Minho Kang." Tae-woo shook his hand. "How long has this been here?" 5 years, Minho answered. "It was built as an emergency shelter for world leaders. Now it's yours." Jisoo joined them, already wearing a lunar base uniform. "Have you shown him the construction bay yet?" Minho shook his head. "I thought you'd want to do that." Jisoo smiled, something she rarely did. "Come on, Tae-woo. You need to see this." The construction bay was enormous, a cave carved out of the moon itself. Hundreds of workers moved around a central area where a metal frame was taking shape. "Is that?" Tae-woo started. "The frame for our ship," Jisoo confirmed. "Project Thunderbolt's final phase." A woman in a lab coat approached them. "Dr. Kim, I'm Dr. Soo-jin Yoon, quantum materials specialist. I've been studying the stellarite samples you sent ahead." "And?" Tae-woo asked. "It's amazing. When we put two pieces near each other, they connect through quantum fields. The energy output more than doubles." She handed him a tablet showing her test results. "It's exponential growth, not just addition." Tae-woo looked at the numbers in shock. "This changes everything." The next 2 weeks were a blur of activity. Tae-woo and Soo-jin worked on understanding how multiple pieces of stellarite interacted. Sun Wu improved his neural interface to handle multiple users at once. Daehyun created new systems to channel and control the growing energy. Minho designed the ship that would hold it all together. Their biggest breakthrough came when Jisoo and two other pilots tried using the neural interface. Together, when all three focused on the same thought, the Stellarite's power grew 10 times stronger. It's like the Stellarite amplifies shared human consciousness, Sun Wu explained to Director Lee during his visit to the moon base. How much time do we have left? Tae-woo asked. The Arvian fleet entered our solar system yesterday, Director Lee said grimly. They'll reach Earth in 8 days. The room went quiet. Is the ship ready? Director Lee asked after a moment. Minho shook his head. The frame is done, but we're still working on the hull and systems. We need at least 2 more weeks. We don't have 2 weeks, Jisoo said. Then we work faster, Tae-woo decided. Sleep became a luxury no one could afford. The team worked around the clock, taking only short breaks when they could no longer stay awake. Earth governments sent more workers and materials, rushing them to the moon on secret flights. Sujin made a critical discovery on the 4th day. I've created an alloy that can channel stellarite energy without melting, she announced, holding up a small gray piece of metal. It's a mix of titanium, carbon nanotubes, and other elements. This is perfect for the weapon systems, Minho said, taking the sample. How fast can you make more? The machines are already running, Sujin replied. On the 5th day, Sun Wu finished his improved neural interface. It can now handle up to 7 pilots at once, he explained to Jisoo. Any more than that and the human minds can't stay in sync. Jisoo nodded. 7 should be enough. I've selected the best pilots from around the world. They arrive tomorrow. On the 6th day, as they installed the stellarite core in the center of the ship, an alarm sounded through the base. What's happening? Tae-woo asked, looking up from his work. Daehyun checked his tablet. Message from Earth. The Arvian fleet has accelerated. They'll reach Earth in 36 hours. Everyone froze. The ship was only half finished. Minho was the first to speak. We have a frame, basic hull, and engines. The core is installed. If we focus only on essential systems, we might make it flyable in time. What about weapons? Shields? Jisoo asked. We'll have to finish those in transit, Minho said. Director Lee joined them, his face grim. Earth governments are panicking. Some want to surrender. Can this ship fly or not? Tae-woo looked at his team. Each face showed determination despite the exhaustion. Yes, he said firmly. It will fly. The final day was a race against time. Everyone worked without stopping, installing only what was absolutely necessary. The ship took shape, smaller than originally planned but still impressive. It's time to install the crew pods, Minho announced as the 24-hour mark approached. 7 pods were arranged in a circle around the stellarite core, each connected to the neural interface. Jisoo and her 6 chosen pilots would sit in these pods, using their minds to control the ship and its power. What will you call it? Director Lee asked as they prepared for launch. Tae-woo looked at the ship. Its hull gleamed silver under the work lights. It wasn't large, only about 200 meters long, but within it was the most powerful energy source humans had ever controlled. Thunderbolt, Jisoo said simply, just like the project name. Launch time came too soon. The 7 pilots took their places in the crew pods. Engineers made final checks while Tae-woo and his team prepared to monitor from the base. The Arvian fleet has passed Mars, Director Lee reported. Over 300 ships detected. Jisoo looked at Tae-woo through her pod's clear cover. See you on the other side, she said with a small smile. The countdown began. At 0, the bay doors above the ship opened, revealing the black sky. The Thunderbolt's engines glowed blue, as stellarite energy flowed through them. Slowly, the ship rose from its cradle. Engines functioning within parameters, Daehyun reported. Hull integrity stable, Sujin added. Neural interface online, Sun Wu said. All 7 pilots are connected. The ship cleared the bay doors and accelerated upward, away from the moon. That's when something unexpected happened. Inside her pod, Jisoo felt the minds of the other pilots connecting with hers through the neural interface. But she also felt something else, a new presence growing within the ship itself. The Stellarite core was responding to their combined consciousness in a way no one had predicted. "Something's happening," she said over the radio. "The Stellarite. It's changing." On the screens at Luna Base, Taewoo and the others watched in amazement as the Thunderbolt began to transform. Parts of the ship shifted and changed shape. The hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, becoming stronger, more streamlined. "It's alive," Soo-jin whispered. "No," Taewoo realized. "It's awake. The Stellarite has formed a bond with the crew. The ship is becoming what they need it to be." The Thunderbolt continued to transform as it accelerated toward Earth and the approaching Arvian fleet. It was no longer just a machine. It was something new, a perfect union of human will and Stellarite power. Earth's first Star Destroyer was born. Admiral Junho Baek stood on the bridge of his aircraft carrier, watching the sky through binoculars. At 60 years old, he had seen many battles, but never one like this. Today, he commanded all of Earth's military forces against an enemy from the stars. "Any sign of them?" he asked his communications officer. "Nothing yet, sir. But space radar shows they're entering Earth orbit now." The admiral nodded and picked up his secure phone. "This is Admiral Beck. Deploy all units as planned." Across the world, fighter jets took off from runways. Ships moved into formation in the oceans. Missile sites prepared to fire. It wasn't much against an alien fleet, but it was all they had. All they had, except for one secret weapon. Behind the moon, hidden from Earth and the arriving Arvian fleet, the Thunderbolt continued to change. Its hull now looked smoother, with lines that glowed blue with Stellarite energy. Inside the 7 crew pods, Jisoo and the other pilots remained connected through the neural interface. "Status report," Taewoo called from the moon base. "The ship is still transforming," Jisoo replied. Her voice sounded strange, as if she was both inside and outside her body at the same time. "We can feel it responding to our thoughts. It's incredible." On the monitoring screens, Taewoo and his team watched the Thunderbolt's vital signs. Energy levels were 10 times higher than their predictions. "Are you ready to move?" Director Lee asked. He had just received word that the Arvian fleet had arrived. Jisoo closed her eyes, feeling the ship around her. The other pilots did the same. As one mind, they answered, "We're ready." The Arvian fleet was massive. Over 300 ships of different sizes moved into position around Earth. The largest ship, in the center of the fleet, was the size of a small city. On its bridge, Fleet Commander Kravax watched the blue planet with his 4 eyes. "Primitive world," he said to his officers. "Begin deployment of atmospheric processors. Make this planet suitable for Arvian life." Smaller ships detached from the fleet and descended toward Earth. They carried machines that would change Earth's air and water to better suit the Arvians. "Commander," one officer called, "Earth defenses are activating. They're launching primitive aircraft and missiles." Kravax made a sound like grinding metal, an Arvian laugh. "Let them try. It will teach them their place." Admiral Baek watched as Earth's first wave of fighters approached the alien ships. Missiles fired, exploding against the Arvian shields without causing any damage. "As expected," he said grimly. But these attacks weren't meant to win. They were a distraction, buying time for the real plan. His phone rang. "Admiral, this is Director Lee. Thunderbolt is moving into position. Keep the Arvians busy for 5 more minutes." "Understood." The Admiral turned to his officers. "Launch the second wave. All units engage." On the Thunderbolt, Jisoo felt the ship's systems as if they were extensions of her own body. The neural interface had created a perfect connection between the 7 pilots and the ship itself. "Approaching Earth orbit," she reported. "We can see the Arvian fleet." Through the ship's sensors, they saw hundreds of massive alien vessels surrounding their home planet. The sight should have been terrifying, but Jisoo felt strangely calm. The Thunderbolt's power flowed through her, through all of them. "Remember the plan," Taewoo said over the radio. "Stay hidden until the right moment." The Thunderbolt moved, silently along the edge of Earth's atmosphere, its new hull absorbing radar and light, making it nearly invisible. Target acquired, Jisoo said as they approached the first Arvian processor ship. Weapons ready. The 7 pilots thought as one. Protect Earth. The Stellarite core pulsed with energy. Along the Thunderbolt's hull, sections opened to reveal weapons that hadn't existed when the ship launched. Fire, Jisoo whispered. Blue energy beams shot from the Thunderbolt, cutting through the Arvian ship's shields like they weren't there. The processor ship exploded in a ball of fire. For a moment, everything stopped. Both Earth forces and the Arvian fleet paused, surprised by the sudden explosion. Then chaos erupted. What was that? Kryvax demanded, standing from his command chair. Unknown ship, his officer reported. It just destroyed Processor 7. Impossible. Show me. The view screen changed to show a small silver ship moving quickly away from the destroyed processor. It was tiny compared to the Arvian vessels. That destroyed our ship? Kryvax couldn't believe it. Scan it. Scanning. The readings don't make sense. It's using energy patterns similar to our own ships, but different. Stronger. Kryvax's 4 eyes narrowed. Destroy it. All ships focus fire on that vessel. The Thunderbolt moved with impossible speed as Arvian weapons fired at it from all directions. Jisoo and the pilots didn't need to speak anymore. Their thoughts flowed together through the neural interface, guiding the ship in perfect harmony. They're targeting us with everything they have, one pilot thought. Good, Jisoo replied in her mind. Just as we planned. The Thunderbolt spun and twisted, avoiding most of the Arvian fire. When hits did land, the hull absorbed the energy, growing stronger. Now, Jisoo thought. Attack pattern Alpha. The Thunderbolt accelerated directly toward the heart of the Arvian fleet. Blue energy gathered around it, forming a glowing shield. It smashed through 2 smaller Arvian ships, cutting them in half without slowing down. On the moon base, Taewoo and the others watched in amazement. The ship's energy levels are still climbing, Sunwoo reported. The Stellarite is feeding on the Arvian attacks. Look at the size, Soo-jin pointed at the screen. It's growing. She was right. The Thunderbolt, which had launched at 200 meters long, was now nearly twice that size. Its hull continued to shift and change, adding new features as the pilots needed them. It's becoming what they imagine it to be, Dae-hyun said in wonder. The perfect weapon. Kryvax watched in rage as the tiny Earthship tore through his fleet. 10 Arvian vessels had already been destroyed with no damage to the Earthship. Focus all fleet weapons on its next predicted position, he ordered. Nothing can absorb that much energy. 500 weapons fired at once, creating a wall of energy that the Thunderbolt couldn't avoid. Jisoo saw the attack coming. We can't dodge this one, she thought to the other pilots. Then we don't dodge, another pilot replied. We absorb. Together, they focused on the Stellarite core, directing it to take in the coming energy rather than deflect it. The ship's hull glowed, brighter as it prepared. The Arvian weapons hit all at once. The Thunderbolt disappeared in a ball of blinding light. For a moment, Kryvax thought they had succeeded. Then the light cleared. The Thunderbolt still floated there, but it had changed again. Now it was massive, nearly a kilometer long. Its hull shimmered with absorbed energy, and new weapons had formed along its length. Impossible, Kryvax whispered. Inside her pod, Jisoo felt the ship's transformation. The Stellarite had taken the Arvian energy and used it to grow stronger. The Thunderbolt was now truly a star destroyer, a match for the entire Arvian fleet. Final attack plan, she thought to her crew. Target their command ship. The Thunderbolt turned toward the center of the Arvian fleet, where Kryvax's massive vessel floated. All its new weapons powered up at once, glowing with blue fire. The Arvian fleet tried to stop it, but nothing could stand in its way now. The Thunderbolt cut through the alien ships like they were made of paper, heading directly for the heart of the invasion. Earth's Star Destroyer was ready for the final battle. The Thunderbolt cut through the Arvian fleet like a blade through paper. Its hull glowed with blue energy as it absorbed every attack the aliens fired. With each hit, the ship grew stronger, larger, more powerful. On the moon base, Tae-woo and his team watched in amazement. The ship is now over 1 kilometer long, Soo-jin reported, reading the measurements from her screen. It's still growing. What about the crew? Tae-woo asked. How are they handling this? Sun-woo checked the neural interface readings. Their minds are still in sync, but... He paused, looking concerned. Their brain patterns are changing. They're becoming more like each other. More like what? Director Lee demanded. More like the ship itself, Sun-woo finished. Inside her control pod, Jisoo no longer felt the boundaries between herself, the other pilots, and the Thunderbolt. They had become one entity, one mind, with a single purpose: protect Earth. The Arvians are concentrating their fleet around their command ship, she reported, her voice sounding distant and echoing. Can you break through? Tae-woo asked over the radio. Instead of answering with words, Jisoo sent an image directly to the moon base screens. The Thunderbolt smashing through the Arvian defenses. Unstoppable. I'll take that as a yes, Daehyun said with a nervous laugh. Jisoo spoke again, but her voice now seemed to come from everywhere at once. We're leading the fleet away from Earth. Too dangerous to fight here. On the screens, they watched as the Thunderbolt suddenly accelerated away from Earth, moving deeper into the solar system. As planned, the angry Arvian fleet followed, chasing, after the ship that had dared to challenge them. Commander Kryvak stood on his bridge, his 4 eyes fixed on the view screen. The Earth ship was retreating, moving toward the outer planets. They're running away, his second officer said. No, Kryvak replied. They're leading us away from their world. Despite his anger, he felt a spark of respect. These humans were protecting their planet even at the cost of their own lives. Follow them, he ordered. Full speed. This ends now. The Arvian fleet, still over 200 ships strong, moved after the Thunderbolt. Kryvak watched as they passed the red planet, then the giant with rings. The Earthship continued to accelerate, always just ahead of them. Where are they going? He wondered aloud. At Neptune's orbit, the farthest planet, the Thunderbolt finally stopped. It turned to face the oncoming Arvian fleet, but it was no longer the same ship that had left Earth's orbit. The Thunderbolt had transformed completely. It was now truly massive, over 5 kilometers long. Its hull shimmered with patterns of blue light that looked like stars. New structures had formed along its length, giving it the appearance of a beautiful but terrible weapon. Earth's Star Destroyer waited as the Arvian fleet approached. Inside the ship, Jisoo experienced something beyond human understanding. Her mind had expanded to fill the entire vessel. She could feel the stellarite flowing through every part of the ship, through her body, through the other pilots. They were no longer 7 people. They were one new being. We are ready, she thought, and the thought became reality. On the moon base, the monitoring screen suddenly lit up with new readings. What's happening? Director Lee asked. Tae-woo looked at the data in wonder. The stellarite is creating a field around the ship. It's like it's folding space somehow. The power levels are off the charts, Soo-jin added. We can't even measure them anymore. The screen showed the Thunderbolt facing the approaching Arvian fleet near Neptune. The blue glow around the ship was now visible to the naked eye, a perfect sphere of energy. Kryvak felt fear for the first time in his long military career. The Earthship had changed into something his science could not explain. What are those readings? He demanded of his science officer. Unknown, Commander. The energy pattern is similar to our quantum drives, but thousands of times more powerful. It's as if they've found a way to harness the energy of a star. Impossible. They're primitives. They can't. Commander, his tactical officer interrupted. They're powering up weapons. The Thunderbolt released its power in a controlled wave. Blue energy flowed out in all directions, washing over the Arvian fleet. But this wasn't a destructive blast. It was something more complex. Where the energy touched the Arvian ships, it disrupted their systems in specific ways. Weapons shut down, engines stalled, communications failed. but life support and structural integrity remained intact. The entire Arvian fleet floated helplessly in space, disabled but not destroyed. Kryvax stared at his dead control panels in shock. What did they do to us? They could have destroyed us, his second officer said quietly. But they didn't. A voice suddenly filled the bridge, coming from nowhere and everywhere. People of the Arvian Empire, Jisu's voice said. This is Earth. We offer you a choice. Peace or destruction. Choose now. Kryvax stood frozen. In all his years of conquest, no species had ever offered the Arvians a choice. They had always been the ones to decide the fate of others. Open a channel, he said finally. I will speak to them. On the moon base, they watched in amazement as the Thunderbolt maintained its position, holding the entire Arvian fleet helpless. They did it, Daehyun whispered. They actually did it. A new image appeared on their screen. The Arvian commander, his 4 eyes blinking in the strange blue light of his bridge. Humans of Earth, Kryvax said. You have proven yourselves worthy. The Arvian Empire will withdraw from your system. And never return, Jisu's voice added firmly. Kryvax hesitated, then nodded his strange head. And never return. This we swear. All ships except the command vessel will leave now, Jisu commanded. Your commander will stay until the fleet has left our system. As they watched, the Arvian ships slowly regained power. One by one they turned and moved away, disappearing into the blackness of space. Only Kryvax's ship remained, watched carefully by the Thunderbolt. 6 hours later, the last Arvian ship left the solar system. Kryvax stood alone on his bridge. Humans, he said to the empty air. You have something we don't understand. Something powerful. What is it? Jisu's voice answered from the Thunderbolt. Connection. Unity. Compassion. Things your empire forgot long ago. Kryvax lowered his head. Perhaps. We will remember this day, humans. Others will come, seeking what you have. Be ready. With those words, his ship turned and left, following his fleet into deep space. The Thunderbolt began its journey home. As it moved back toward Earth, it started to change again. The extra mass it had gained began to shed away, leaving behind a trail of glowing particles in space. By the time it reached Earth orbit, it had returned to its original size. On the moon base, Taiwu waited anxiously for word from the crew. The neural interface readings had finally stabilized, showing 7 distinct human patterns again. Jisu? He called over the radio. Can you hear me? There was a long pause before her voice answered, sounding tired but normal. We hear you, Taiwu. We're coming home. What happened out there? He asked. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. We became something new, Jisu said simply. For a little while we touched something greater. The Thunderbolt docked at the moon base 6 hours later. When the crew pods opened, Jisu and the other pilots stepped out looking exhausted but changed. Their eyes held a depth that hadn't been there before. It's still with us, Jisu told Taiwu when he met them at the airlock. The connection, weaker now, but still there. And the Thunderbolt. It's waiting. Waiting for what? Director Lee asked. Jisu smiled, looking up toward the stars. For what comes next. There are more like the Arvians out there, some worse. But now Earth is ready. Outside the base, the Thunderbolt rested in its cradle, its hull pulsing gently with blue light. Earth's first star destroyer had proven itself, and it was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, the news was already spreading. A new power had risen among the stars. Humanity had arrived.